There we go. Okay. Hi. You're here at the Chaos Weekly Community Call. It is February 24th. I'm Elizabeth, the Chaos Community Manager. I guess I could change my name here. There we go. I'm Elizabeth. Great to see you all here. Let's share the screen. Let's share the minutes. The Sometimes my captioning covers everything that I need. I don't like that. Why does it do that? I don't know.
Done.
There we go. If you would like to add your name to the agenda and tell us your favorite thing about March, since we're getting ready for March, I'm so over February and winter. That'd be great. So, yeah. And yes, Dawn, I would like to see some pictures if you are so inclined to take pictures because I need that in my life.
I do. I'll
Who's
send you some. I took some pictures and sent them to my mom when I was talking to her on the phone. So I've got some right here.
Yes. Excellent. Excellent.
very current?
That is, I really miss getting out with my camera mostly. It's just, I'm not some nature photographers are like out at 5 a.m. in the Arctic. No,
I was gonna say
that
you can take pictures of snow.
I
It is.
did. I did the first time it snowed. I was like, "Ooh, this is pretty. Yeah, let me get my camera." No, I don't know. I don't want it now. I want the flowers for sure. I've been signed out. I hope that didn't screw up our recording. There we go. Anyway, let's go ahead and start with our agenda. Okay, so this has been a conversation we've had a few times in this meeting about these minutes and this gigantic doc that we have. So we decided to start a new doc every year, like in March, so that we will have the first few meetings for everybody still in the same doc. And then there was an issue of, well, how are we going to get everybody to go to the next one? So just chatting with Adrian this morning, he hopped on the newcomer hangout. So we didn't have any newcomers. So we spent the time going over that process and some other interesting things about the website and our GitHub plugin and all the good things. So thank you, Adrian, for thinking this through with me. So now, from now on, starting next week, from now on, this is the only link anybody will ever have to remember is just working group minutes. And then it goes to an empty doc now, but it will be the new doc for everybody. So we don't have to remember where the minutes are, what year it is, anything. It'll just magically happen. And then we are going to keep this also on the website, and it'll be just the index. Here's all the years because it's all there. It's in the Chaos Drive in Google and linked in each of these tabs. It's linked here, So maybe we will just put the link to the archive and just leave it at that instead of every tab. I would have to add then the year on every tab. Like, no, that's too much work. So yeah, so that's the new process, and I hope that makes it so much easier for everyone. And it's on the back end, it's super easy to just change the redirect because it can go wherever we want, and then it would just be adding another line to this one document here. So I hope that makes sense to everyone. Let me know what I'm missing in that process. If there's glaring problems with that.
So over each year, we'll just have like one giant archive doc for the year,
Yeah.
essentially. And then that top link is just is that the current year?
It's yes. So
Okay.
yes. So this is just a redirect in our WordPress instance, and then
Okay.
we'll just change where it redirects to.
And if you want to go look at some minutes from 2 years ago, you click that second link
Yep.
and it'll just like link out to the different archives.
Yep. It'll just be an index of all the years.
Okay.
So make it super easy. And then instead of each tab having the archived minute, having this
Yeah,
on
I
every
get
tab,
it.
it'll
Yeah.
just be that link, that archive link.
How old is this document?
Oh, that's a great question. I want to say 2020, early 2024, maybe. So maybe two
Like,
years.
okay. Okay.
So yeah, so we've been just, moving the stuff over to a new doc, but all the versions are still there. And so, it's
I
just,
get it. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, also, in the new doc take out these inactive ones, which we kind of kept
Yeah,
around, and like they can be in the archive, but they don't need to be in the current doc, I don't think.
for sure. Yep.
So, okay. Any other questions, comments, thoughts, stuff?
Oh, that makes sense until we change it next time.
Yeah, so this will happen next, starting the meetings next week. And
Okay.
I'll change the calendars, of course. And I put it in the working group leader Slack so that those folks know as well, but I'll just make sure everybody kind of knows as much as we can. So, okay. The other thing is the daylight saving time, which is happening in 2 weeks. And that causes chaos with one S, not the good kind like we are. Yeah, so it's the time when, for those of you who don't know, it's the time when the US starts daylight saving. A lot of people don't, some people do, some people never do. It's kind of a mess. And we have, our meetings are tied to different time zones. So like these meetings right here are going to change with daylight saving on March 8th, all of these meetings. So if you're in a place that doesn't change or hasn't changed yet, these will all be at a different time for you. These meetings are tied to West Africa time and do not change with DST. So if you are in a place that does do DST and has changed, these will be in a different time zone for you or time for you. You get where I'm going with this. So the reason we have all of these tied to different times is because it makes more sense for folks who are in that area, right? So like why would folks in Africa have to change their, like nobody there does DST, so it doesn't make any sense for us to force them to change with the US. Same thing with the Chaos Asia. It doesn't make any sense. And then the UTC one, they decided to do that. And that's, I mean, why not? YOLO, hey, it works for them. That's what would be the best for them. So, oh, Adrian says I need to change the redirect on WordPress 301 permanent to to
That's
temporary.
probably a bit of a tech. I don't know how much control you have on WordPress, but there are different types of redirects, and
Yeah.
we want the temporary one because this link is going to keep changing year over year, and we want people's browsers to keep checking the current redirect and not just saving this redirect to the 2026 doc forever. Especially because the more if people click on this before this gets changed, their browsers are going to remember the 2026 link.
Like mine. Okay.
Probably. I think you can like clear there's ways to clear it. Like it's
Yeah.
just sort of temporary storage in your browser, but it's not something that frequently gets cleared by most people. So
Okay. That is Adrian. See, this is why I
I
love
just
how
figured I'd
you,
sanity check that before I started changing all the links and all the I
it's
mean I can still
excellent.
update the link, but I just don't want people to click it until we fix that.
Yes, I appreciate that so much. Um, Adrian, what I need really is for you to just follow me around my day and just like point out the things that I'm missing or like just clean up my mess as I go because you're amazing at that. Thank you so much. I would never have caught that ever. So good call. Excellent work. I really appreciate you
You
very
shouldn't
much.
buy the Cheetos. You should buy.
Exactly. Just clean up my crumbs as I go along. Because I kind of do make a mess wherever I go. So here we are. Um, I'm sorry. Yeah, so anyway, daylight saving is a mess. But the good news is the chaos calendar will be the single source of truth because it is smart and knows where everything everything is. No, there is not an AI, Elizabeth. Although they probably would do they would probably be more productive and better at things than I am. But you know what? It's okay. It's all right. So yeah, so anyway, if you're subscribed to the Chaos Calendar, you'll be good. If you're wondering, you can go now and see what time things will be for you later, because it's smart that way and it already knows. Just make sure that you're looking at it in your time zone. So, okay, questions about that? Any questions? I wish there was an easy fix for daylight saving. No, I don't think there is.
I just was reading through some of the daylight savings stuff and not to make things any more complicated than they probably already are, but like the meeting to like if you are in a region that honors daylight savings, but the meeting is pinned to UTC, the meeting time for you is still going to change, even if the meeting time for everyone else doesn't.
Correct.
Maybe we need to just write a blog post or something that's like the comprehensive guide to understanding when the crap you're supposed to be meeting.
Well, and a while ago, so we used to have the calendars tied to Google, and then we had all these different meetings, and people would have to subscribe to everything or nothing. So did not give us the granularity that we wanted. So we switched to Team Up, and we host our calendar on them. And it's been great. Like that you can subscribe to just one calendar. We have a lot of flexibility with how that's run, and it keeps track of all this stuff. So it's wonderful. The only drawback is when we had it on Google, there was a nice Slack reminder that said, "Hey, there's a meeting happening. If you want to go to it, here's the link." And then that is broken. And I have tried. This is, Adrian, maybe another conversation you and I have to have.
Conveniently, so conveniently, Sean gave me, I guess, admin access to Slack like yesterday because I'm trying to set up a Slack bridge because we have an internal maintainers chat for Augur on Slack, and there's also a Discord server, and it's like, hang on, half the maintainers are over here and half of them are over here. I just want to bridge these with a bot so that anything that gets sent in either place gets sent to the other place. And I've just been trying to deal with a half unmaintained bridging software. So, but I could probably look at the Slack integrations while I'm in there.
Yeah, I mean, that would be great. I was resorting to if this and then that, the IFTT, and that worked-ish. It worked for some meetings and not for others, and I don't know why. And then I got distracted and onto other things, so I never had time to go back and really dig into what I had broken. But it did work for a minute. I think that would be really helpful if we could have a Slack bot that just told people when meetings were happening.
I was talking to Anna from the To Do group, and they have a bot that does this. It posts in the channel when the next meeting is. It gives you like an hour notice or something. And she recently just changed the way that she did that to something that might work for us.
Okay.
And she sent me all of the code. So what I'm
Okay.
going to do is I'm going to send that, I guess, maybe to you and Adrian.
Okay. Yeah,
And
that would be great.
I'll just send you everything she sent me. And
Okay.
then if that works, or
Yeah.
yeah, I'll send it
That
to the
would
two of you and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Back when, so that used to be a seamless integration between Google and Slack, and then Slack broke that. So To Do Group had a workaround, and we borrowed it from them at the time, and then we moved off of Google, so we didn't need it. But I never got back around to kind of closing that loop. So yeah, that would be awesome. That would be
Yeah, I
amazing.
guess it's a Slack webhook and a Google
Right.
script.
Okay. Okay. And would
So
that work if our calendar's still on Team Up?
I have no idea. I'll
Okay.
be honest, she sent it to me because I was like, oh, that sounds really good. And then I just haven't had time to look at it. And
Yeah.
so now I'm just passing the buck. You see how that works?
Yeah, I love it. I'm great at that. That's why I'm going to pass it right on to Adrian as soon as this call is over. No, I'm just kidding. There is like Slack-ish integration, but it requires people to have a team up account. Like if we all were on like had something blah team up whatever an account there, then it would be seamless integration. But it's the fact that it's like we're not using team up for everything for everybody. It's not like a
Yeah.
company that you know what I mean? Like we're not here, so yeah, the Slack is not great.
Yeah, because
Anyway,
it is specific to Google Calendar, but there might be, I don't know, there might be a way to adapt it. So
there
I've
might,
sent you what
yeah,
I have, and if it doesn't work, we're no further behind than we were before.
right, right on. I love it. Do it. Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Essentially, I just really don't like technology. Technology just, yeah, makes me want to drink wine, is what it does, but that's okay. It is what it is. If anybody else has any ideas or experience in any of this and wants to speak up, like even after the call, excellent. Please do. Please feel free. No, we're not going to be like, no, you cannot help us with this. That would not happen. So that'd be great. Okay, any final thoughts or anything before we move on? Okay, Dawn put this on here, so I'm gonna let her take that away.
Yeah, so this is a random thought, and it's something I've been thinking about a lot recently. So historically, the way that our software has worked, so both Augur and Grimoire Lab, you give it a list of GitHub organizations or a list of repositories that you want it to analyze, and it goes off, it collects all the data, and then you can visualize it, which is great when you're, say, a community manager and you're focused on a few specific repositories or organizations, or when you know which organizations and repositories you want to look at. So, like OSPO's wanting to look at all of the code that they own, for example. The tools are great for that. But lately, I've had a lot of people come to me. There was somebody in one of the I forget, it was like a workshop. I think it was one of the workshops that we had at CHAOSScon EU. And he was like, "Yeah, I want to better understand all of the open source, work happening in China, and I want to use chaos metrics to do that." And yeah, there's metrics that you can use, but the software doesn't really allow for that more of an ecosystem analysis. And this is becoming a lot more important as people are digging into supply chains as a whole, where you might not know exactly which repositories in advance you need to collect data on. And we have a package metadata working group, which I know is kind of in this space. But I was just curious if people have thought about this, because I feel like maybe the Chaos Project maybe we need to do more in this area. Maybe we need to just say that's not our space. And there are other tools that do that, like ecosystems, for example. I don't have any solutions. I just know that the number of times people have come to me with questions that were more supply chain or ecosystem related, and I had to say, well, yeah, but our software really doesn't do that. So I'm curious what other people think. In particular, Matt, I know you've done some research on supply chains. I'm curious what you think.
Right. So totally. A couple of things that immediately come to my mind is on the stuff that we've been doing around supply chains, and people could tell me they don't agree with me, but I treat ecosystem and supply chains as different things. And so, yep. And so I treat ecosystems like the CNCF as an ecosystem. Those projects may or may not be related to one another, like technically, but they all are kind of in that cloud native space. So that's an ecosystem to me. And then a supply chain has kind of an inherent connection between projects. So I have not been looking at the ecosystem stuff at all. I've been looking at the supply chain stuff. And we have been gathering our data from two different places. So we were using deps.dev for the technical connections between projects. So we were able to kind of sort out technical dependencies, at least like one level, like not too deep, because obviously supply chains can go on kind of forever. And so I'm not sure who runs deps.dev, but I think like there are challenges in using it. So for example, I think they just stopped supporting Go as one of the things that they take a look at from a dependency perspective, which I think is kind of interesting because I thought it was a Google project, deps.dev. Anyway, and so we look at it at two levels. One is just the technical dependencies, and then we've been able to use Augur data. So we installed an Augur instance to get social connections as well. So we can take a look at like the people that are present in one, say a focal project is what we'll call it, as well as any of the identified technically dependent projects one layer upstream. So, Dawn, if you were present in the focal project, we can see based on our technical construction, our dependency construction, if you're present in any of, say, whatever, the 5 projects that are upstream. So we are able to build these socio-technical maps of projects with limitations. Like if the data is not available in deps.dev, then we just run into a problem. And so it's working pretty well. And then once we can build that construction, we're able to kind of look back in time, like say a 6-month window or a 3-month window or whatever the window is, and see if there's any predictability that was evident in that 6-month window. So, Dawn, if you are present in both of the downstream and the upstream project, what impact, or if there's, say, 60% of the people are present in both projects, does that have any, say, effect on the responsiveness of these projects? So we understand that, say, the responsiveness in this system is pretty solid. So yeah, I mean, we can answer some of these questions, or I think at least build the maps, at least from Augur data. But the dependencies, the technical dependency stuff, I don't think either of those, either Augur or Grimoire Lab provides that.
Yeah, and that was kind of some of the stuff that I was thinking about. So, looking at, for example, like a lot of companies are looking at CRA is coming down the pipe for those of
Mhm.
those in Europe. And that requires kind of a dependency level analysis that yeah. And so I'm not saying we should change anything. I'm just curious if there's maybe more we can do within chaos to maybe highlight some of, maybe some of the ways that you've done some of the analysis with Augur.
Mhm.
Because I don't think it's not really like it's not native in like the visualizations in 8 knot, for example.
Mm-mm.
So there's some extra stuff that has to happen, and I'm kind of wondering if that's something that would be useful for people. I don't know. But there's also lots of other types of analysis, like the, geographical regions, or there's a lot of stuff, and people kind of look at the chaos. I have lots of weird conversations with people about the chaos project because they kind of look at us for like all metrics on everything
Mhm.
related to open source and all the data. They think we hold all of the data about all of the open source projects everywhere in the world. And so they're like, can't you just like run a thing and tell me, where all the
Yeah,
open source
push the
projects in
button.
China are? Like, no, we don't we just don't have that kind of data. That's not what we've been focused on. And I'm not saying we should. I'm not saying we should have that data. I'm just curious. Yeah, I'm just curious if there's anything that we can do to help point people to maybe other things that do that, or
I
give
mean,
them
did
some
they just want a
suggestions.
mapping? Because there's like just say a socio-technical map that you can say, here are the things that appear to be connected between technical dependencies and people. Like nothing beyond that, but here's a map of the things that you might be interested in.
Yeah, I think that's something that some people would be interested in.
Okay.
I think in a lot of cases, I think in some cases, they're not really looking at people. They just want to know like what projects. And then I think in other cases, people really want to know more about the people who are behind them. Uh,
Yeah. I mean,
so I think
our
it,
art,
I think it just, I think it just depends. People tend to think we have all the data, and we really don't. And so I'm curious where other people have been drawing this line and whether there's something we should be doing differently.
okay. Um,
Does
yes,
does Compass do any of this?
I don't think
No,
so.
Compass is built
They're
on
just
top of Grimoire Lab, so it has the
okay,
same
so just okay.
implications. You have to know which repositories and organizations you want data on before.
Okay. Okay, because I know that they did hold some data on some of the
Yeah,
projects, but okay.
yeah. And then, the new SaaS instances, both the one that Sean runs and the one at Red Hat, those um, are kind of getting to the point where they're helping solve this problem, at least for certain types of projects. Like they have, because of Red Hat's interest in the CNCF, I think they probably have most or all of the CNCF projects. So you could probably pretty easily look at that as an ecosystem within, at least the Red Hat instance of Augur. But there's lots of other projects that they don't have. They don't have all the projects in the world, nor should they. It would fall apart, I think, at that point. But I'm not looking
No,
for answers. We're not going to make a decision or anything about this. It's just something I wanted people to think about.
I
I
mean,
think.
honestly, I think you could tell people, I think it's a 3-step process. So the first is to map the technical dependencies, which can be done from deps.dev.
Hmm.
And there are ways to do that. The second is that off of that technical map, you could map social dependencies if that's what you care about as well.
Hmm.
And like the reason you might want to care about that kind of stuff is you want to understand your ability to influence, your ability to affect change. Like, people matter in that system.
Yep.
And so that would be the second step if you want to do that. And then the third would be like, what are the chaos metrics that you want to understand if they have predictive power in the system that you're taking a look at? So the individual project level metrics, like, do they change or are they affected by these different constructions? So that's how we've been treating it from a research perspective: technical first, social second, and then ask like sustainability related metrics questions third.
Cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's helpful. I wonder if it might be good for you all to do maybe a blog post about that, and just, here's one way that you can approach this type of analysis using some of the chaos tools. Maybe that would help.
Yeah, I don't think that would, just like kind of what I just said there. Like, here's your
Yeah,
three.
super, super high level, like
Yeah.
not, I know you guys are publishing papers, and so you can't go into the
Yeah, like I
methodology
can't
in
quite share the
detail.
scripts yet, probably just from a but they'd be shareable once the paper's published, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. But like you said, at a high level, you can,
Yeah,
these
that's
were the
pretty.
steps that we took, and this is how you might be able to do it. It would
Yeah,
they would still have to do all of that, but
yeah.
yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
Not to
I
put
think
more
I think
work
it's a
on
great
yourself.
idea, first of all. I think looking beyond the project level anymore is kind
Mhm.
of important and understanding the world where you live and the things that you depend on
Yeah.
is pretty critical.
Anyone else have thoughts on that?
I Googled Augur because I don't know what it is, and it's quite confusing. I found your GitHub repo, but uh, you guys love names that are commonplace, not specific, so it makes it difficult to research.
And there's another open source project called Augur that is something completely different. So did you
Yeah,
find the one?
Ethereum, right? Like blockchain?
Yeah, it's blockchain stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I thought that's
Yeah.
why I was like, you guys are not, I'm not in another blockchain group, am I? Um, Not that I have anything wrong with it, it's just too many crypto bros in my life.
Yeah, and
Um,
here's so the chaos software page has links to the sources of truth for all of this
yeah.
software. So that
Okay, cool.
might help. Yeah.
I didn't know it existed. This is kind of interesting. I always wondered how you guys scraped.
Yep. It's a lot of GitHub API calls.
Yep, I'm basically one of the more active maintainers of Augur currently. So if you have questions about anything, let me know. I know we've already talked a lot. You still need to add me on Signal, by the way.
I will. I joined the wrong Slack apparently, so now I'm in the right Slack. So I was looking for you in Slack,
Oh,
but
did you
it was
join chaos.slack.whatever instead of chaos-workspace.slack.whatever?
I joined the Open Futures Slack, not the Chaos Slack.
Hmm.
Which is something that Emma Irwin has been building.
Yes,
So
yeah,
it's definitely in the same space. So I can see the confusion.
yes, very confusing. But no, I'm in the 4,000 or 3,000 person Slack now. So yeah, I'll grab your Signal.
Awesome. All right, thanks. That was an interesting discussion. That was all I had.
Thanks, Dawn, for bringing that up. Very cool. Um, Looks like we don't have anything else on the agenda. Just two reminders about CFPs. So if these are things you want to submit, then here are your deadlines and links to how to do that. So both excellent conferences, and yeah, you have a little bit of time, not a lot, but you have a little time to build that out. So yeah. Anything else? We're a little early. Love it. Okay, well, I'm gonna stop sharing and I will let you all go. Enjoy the rest of your day and we'll see you around. Have a good one. Bye, everybody.